Hi everyone, it's me, West Coast Mom, and I'm back with another video. It's been a while because I've been busy setting up my blog, which I'll link below. I would appreciate it if you came and gave me a visit there. And in the meantime, I found out that I have over 1,000 subscribers, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much everyone for subscribing. But here I am, I'm back doing another graph. If you've looked at my previous videos, you know that I really like doing graphs. And what I'm going to work on next is this bear blanket from Repeat Crafter Me. And I've downloaded the graph. I've actually enlarged it because I like things nice and big. It's easier to see. Now, this will be done in the C2C or corner to corner technique, which means you work diagonally across. And a lot of people can take this graph and work on the graph and do it just as is, and I guess sort of checking off each box as they go along. But for me personally, when I do C2C, I need something what's called a word chart. A word chart is where I take the time to write out exactly what happens row by row, and I say for each block how many of each color. I specify exactly how many blocks to do, and so it works out. Now, some graphs come with word charts, some don't. So this particular one does not. So I'm going to show you how I set that up. So first of all, you have to sort of organize the graph. This particular graph is already numbered. You could actually technically start in any corner, it does not matter. The way this one happened to be numbered already though is in the bottom right hand corner. So I am going to start there. So what I need to do is write this down, but also organize what my colors are going to be. So in my little notebook here, I'm going to do it in the blanket yarn like she specifies. And the colors I'm going to use are white for the bear's sort of tummy and snout and ears. And so now the graph doesn't come up as white, so I'm actually just going to write a little note to myself that this is white, this is white, this is white, and this is white. Sand will be the actual body. I'm going to write that here because it's so big. And taupe is just for the eyes and snout. Now my background is going to be a teal color, so that is shown white here. And that just helps me to remember exactly what I'm going to do. And I need abbreviations for all that. So when it comes to the white, I'm just going to use a W. For the sand, it's going to be an S. For the taupe, well, the background is T for teal. I can't obviously use T for the taupe as well because I'll get mixed up. So I'll probably just write out the whole word taupe because there isn't that much. There's literally only 8 blocks. All right, so when I go through this, you have to understand the directions for C2C going diagonally. So when I go up, so I'm going from bottom to top or left to right, the numbers are going to be odd numbers. When I'm going down, meaning this direction from right to left, the rows are going to be even numbers. So what I like to do is, she's already done the numbers here. I like to highlight the rows that I'm actually going to be doing. So along the bottom, it will be, when I'm going up, it will be all the odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. So I'm just highlighting those numbers just so that I remember that's what I'm doing. On the way up, it's going to be all the even numbers because I'm always going to be going in this direction. Now, if this graph were not numbered, I would number it anyways. So, but this one happens to be already, but I don't need every row. So for now, I'm just going to do it that way. So the way this works is I'm just going to start with the first row. I'm going odd and I'm going this way. And I'm going to write down exactly what needs to be done. So the first one is row 1, and it's just 1 square in the background, which is the teal. So I'm going to write down 1T. All right, and so that was this one in the bottom corner right there. Now I'm on row 2, and I'm going to go down this way, and it's 1, 2 of the background, which is teal. Row 3 is here, where the 3 is, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 3 of the background. Row 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the teal. row 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see it's actually systematic. It goes in numeric consecutive order, and it should, because the numbers of diagonally increase by 1 each time, so that is correct. Row 6, even, I'm going down. I always write notes to myself, so if I get interrupted and I come back to it, I remember which direction I'm going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 teal. Now row 7, here I'm getting into color changes, so this is where I find the word chart really handy, so I don't have to sit there and count later on as I'm crocheting. So there's 1 of the background, which is teal, and I have 2 of the body, which is sand, so 2S, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the background, which is teal. All right, row 8, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the background, which is teal. 1, 2, 3 of the body, which is sand. 1 of the background, which is teal. And you can see, for me personally, I like to put a mark in each box as I go, because it helps me count. It helps me to keep it in order and everything. All right, so I'm gonna keep going along here. When I get to the corner, I will show you what happens and what happens there. All right, I'll be back in a bit. All right, so I have been going along writing down how many blocks of everything, and I've gotten past this bottom corner point. So 23 was my last row number here. I went up, and then 24 coming down. Now, because I've hit the corner, I am now decreasing. So what I do in my notes, I now write a little note to myself, decrease on left-hand side, just so that I remember. Now my numbering stopped here, but now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep numbering but going up. But I only need the odd numbers. So this one was 23, that one was 24 coming down, so this is 25, right? Because the even numbers are on this side, so I can skip every other row here and just put in my odd numbered rows, because that's all I need. Eventually I'm going to do the even numbers across the top here, because I have to keep going until I get to this corner, right? So this is what I have to do here. So even though it's 23 by 30, when you're doing corner to corner, whoops, that was 42, it should be 43. When you're doing corner to corner, because it's diagonal, you will have more rows. So I go up to 51 there. And like I said, I'm gonna go this way. And then later on, when I finish up here, you'll see I'll put numbers across the top there as well. So I'm gonna keep going until I get to this corner now. All right, so now I've gotten up to the top corner here, which was 30. Because it was even, I came down this way. 31 went back up. And I'm still gonna continue, but starting along the top. So I'm gonna continue my numbers, which are my row numbers, along the top here. So this one will be 32. And I only need to do the even numbered ones, because odd are on this direction. And let's see, whoops, it's 40, 42, 44. So I just write them across the top because it helps me write it down and correspond with that. So there's 52 that way, which makes sense because 51 was going up and then 52 comes down. And then I continue on and until the whole graph is done. All right, so I finished my graph. I have a few pages of notes, so everything is recorded. But what's really important, I find, is to check my work now to make sure that I'm not off or I didn't miscount something, because that'll mess me up when I'm actually crocheting this. So at the beginning, what I do is I count how many blocks I've counted. So 1 teal, and I put it in a brackets afterwards, so that's 1 block. And then it goes up to 2. And then so these are not too bad because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But when I get to this one where it's 1 teal, 2 sand, 4 teal, you add them all together. So 1 plus 2 plus 4, so that's 7, which makes sense. And then you keep going. And it should consecutively go up in numbers, increase by 1, all the way up until the first decrease. So let me skip over to that. So just before the decrease here, I'll start 2 rows before. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 8 is 15, plus 8, that is 23. And row 23 is the last row in the decrease here. So what should happen now is I should always be at 23 for a few rows until the second decrease on the right hand side. So 4 plus 5, 9, 17, and 6, that's 23 again. So it should be the same. Now I have 13, that's 23, 14, 18, that's 23, 5, 11, 15, and 8, that's 23. So these are all 23 until I hit the decrease. Let me just jump ahead here. And then it should be 22, 21, 20, 19, all the way to the end. So this is 2 plus 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 21 here. And that's because the row before would have been the 22. I had 23 all along. This is 9, 12, 13, 14, and 8. So that was 22. And now I'm slowly working my way down. So that was 22. Here's 21, 8, 10, 12, 13, 17, 18, 20. And then, like I said, it should continue all the way down to 1. And that's how I check my work that I have done everything. All right, and then so after that, I can just go row by row. It tells me what color on. I can actually crochet. Now, I have my written notes here, which works. Some people like to type it out. You can easily type this on Word, just row 1 at a time. You can transfer it to an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter. What's nice about saving it on the computer by typing it up is if I'm going to do this graph other times and I want to save it, I can do so, and you know, I don't have to contend with my messy writing. So anyways, that was how I turned this graph into a word chart, because for me personally it's much easier to read this and go through that than to go block by block. But you know, everyone is different. This is what works for me. It's great for those that can read these graphs, but like I said, not every graph comes with a word chart, but that is how you make your own word chart. And like I said, now I have this, so I might make another one for another baby that's coming after Christmas, and I have the notes already. And if I want to change the background, I just have to change the letter for that. That is where doing it on the computer is makes things pretty neat, because you can substitute the color, and then you have a different background color. Or if you want to change up the whole bear color, you can replace the letters with other colors. Alright, so there you go. If you're interested in seeing what this blanket looks like, my finished product, be sure to check out my Instagram or my Facebook page or my new blog, and I will post plenty of pictures there. Alright, so happy crocheting. Thanks for watching.